Well guys, welcome back to, yeah, you guessed it, the gym. I can't help it. I'm a bit of a gym rat. I need to go to the gym before I do anything. Right, anyway, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. I've been up since 2:30. Job's done. Bible, prayer, dog, chest workout at the gym. Now we're going to get the Google Maps going. We're heading out to the Bowland Fells. We're going to try and get this high Stevens Head we've been trying for a while. It's going to be a 12-miler, not a circular. It's going to do the thing I don't want to do, but I've no choice really, based on the geography. We've got to go to a trig point, double back, then go up onto High Stevens Head, grab the cairn. I'm going to try and get Mallowdale Pike, turn around, come back. Don't like doing it, but the terrain doesn't allow us to do a circular really without some illegal trespassing, which we're not going to do. So Easter weekend, bank holiday, 4 days off work, win, win, win. Right, anyway, let's get on the road, let's get going, let's get after it. I think I've got a problem with the gym. So this is actually a first for me. Used Google Maps to get to a pin that I'd dropped to the beginning of the walk, and it's glitched out, sent me to the sort of start of the Hornby Road we did last week, and it was definitely on the right pin. It's not like I pressed the wrong save pin, but it saw the Hornby Road and some of the farm tracks as roads that I can actually get down, which I can't obviously because the farm tracks. Plenty of signage saying not suitable for motors, but it's actually put me completely on the other side of the fell. There's no real way of getting to it, so I'm going to have to double back to Caton and then manually use the map and find my start point there. Not too bad, we've got plenty of time to before we start, so we're going to do that. Cattle grid. Yeah, a bit of a misty morning this morning. I'm a bit annoyed at that. Google Maps very rarely lets me down, but it seems very glitchy at the moment. So anyway, back to Caton and then we'll get on the right track. Hey guys, welcome back to the trail, and welcome back to a misty, foggy Bowland Fells. That direction, you can't see it, but my elf eyes can see it. Right on the top of there is the Wardstone, and obviously we've been up there from the previous videos. So today we're on a 12-miler. Before we even hit that start, we're going to divert. And the first mile is to just bag the trig point at the top of Caton Moor, which is literally just here. And then we're going to go down and we're going to try and get High Stevens Head and Mallowdale Pike. Talked about it on the last video, talked about how we tried to bag it on the previous trip, but the terrain, the weather, it was just completely against us. So we're back today. It's lambing season. I've seen nothing but sheep and lambs, but what a morning. Gorgeous. Last week crystal clear blue skies. This week we've got this beautiful mist. Yeah, really like it, really like the variation. So not expecting clear skies today, but we are expecting it to get warm, so hence why I'm already in the t-shirt. It is quite mild. So okay, right, let's get this trig point bagged and then we'll come back this way and pick up the trail, do some navigation to try and get up onto High Stevens Head. So those are Highland cattle. They're originated from Scotland, obviously, in the Highlands and the Outer Hebrides, where this kind of hardy breed could withstand the temperatures. You kind of think, as a layman, oh, like buffalo, or something big, but I'm just a layman, obviously, so they are just Highland cows. But it is still, and I've said this before about cows, very intimidating, especially when they've got horns, and especially when they've got the young with them, which they did. They must be calving at the minute. So I took it very carefully, went around the outside and gave them plenty of room to kind of escape. And when they moved with the calves, I kind of slowed down a little bit. I tried not to look threatening. But a lot of people come through with the dogs, and it's the dogs really that cause the attacks. And they're quite prevalent, these cow attacks. Cow attacks, it even sounds ridiculous, but you imagine a herd of those trampling on you to try and protect the kids. It's perfectly understandable. Another reason I don't bring shads. Right, so we're going to turn sort of northeastward in a minute and get to that trig point. It didn't take us too long, and it hasn't been much of a climb. I think it's only about 300 something metres. I'll check when we get there. But our old friends are here, and I wouldn't call them friends really. Wind turbines, eyesores. They're not as bad as the big ones. One of my videos, either the Pendle Way or the Rossendale Way, we went under, if you remember, and they were massive, intimidating things. Enormous, making this whoomp, whoomp, whoomp sound. Ugh. Right, anyway, on we go. Boosh! You can just see on the Yorkshire Three Peaks peeking out. So that was remarkably easy for a trig point. I didn't expect anything less because it literally stands only at, have a look, 361 metres above sea level. So yeah, Caton Moor, where the wind farms are. I assume this is all Caton Moor. You got Hugh Rig. Yeah, all good, all good. So we are just going to turn around. I don't like doing it, I've talked about it before. I can see paths diverging off. We do have access to the entire moorland, as you read by the sign early on. So if I could get down there and bypass the cows, that would be quite handy. But on the other hand, I really don't want to divert off, because I'm going to go back down to the road, past my car, carry on, and then south and begin the proper walk. But couldn't let a trig point go by unbagged. And on many trips I have turned off from the path just to run up a hill, get a boosh on a trig point. So I don't know why, it's just a thing. Trig bagging it's called. You can really smell summer on its way. We're out into spring. We should be in spring now, aren't we, technically? It's Easter bank holiday. So I'm loving it. I'm just breathing it in, man. Smells. Do it for me. Just give me memories. Hit that part of my... I'm rambling. Why don't we just get on? We'll get on with the walk. Let's go. So I came about a click down the road just to see if I could get access to the tracks that run between each of these wind turbines. And it's on the map as tracks because obviously there's actual roads between each turbine, so that obviously maintenance engineers and whatnot can get to it. So sometimes with it still being moorland, you've got access to it so you can walk under them, and that would have cut that corner off and kept us away from the cows. But no, there was no access, there was no gate. It's much further on at the road, and I really don't want to go all that way down to find that I don't have public access and then walk all the way back. So it was worth maybe 10 minutes of my time just to come down here and then walk back, on the off chance that I can get through, but no. So we'll go past the calves, pick up the main road, go past our car, and then pick up the trail. Okay, so we're back on the road. It's quite a long slog back. Got lost in my thoughts and then realised the cows had gone. And then wandered off to another part of the field. So we'll follow the track, this path, this road, back to the car, and then there should be a track heading south. It's going to take us to the sheepfold. And then we're going to begin climbing, and this will be just track. There's no public footpath, it's just moorland track. Little dots on the map, so I should legally have access to it, but I just don't know what to expect. And that takes us all the way onto the top. We'll see how we get on, eh? Yeah, temperature's staying the same. Thought maybe the sun might have burned off some of the cloud, but we're not going to get that. Not for an Easter bank holiday weekend. So we're through a sort of dense bit of farmland where the public footpath cuts through. Now we're heading west, heading towards the sheepfold where we're going to pick up the track. And by the looks of things, I'm going to be getting our elevation through this valley, I'm pretty sure, following a beck up onto the top. Doesn't look as steep as I initially thought, but you know, famous last words. Yeah, right in the middle of nowhere. I can hear a quad mucking about. Quite a busy little farm, to be fair. Oh, it's just opening up. Beautiful landscape. Yeah. Still looking up at the peaks. It's a bit daunting. So although that's a very good sign, I was very nervous about this route, wondering if I'd be able to get through. We've got a definite concessionary route path, but notice 2 signs for no dogs. And I'm starting to think, this is just my opinion, I'm starting to feel that perhaps this is going to be the norm, especially on moorland and public footpaths like this, where there's wildlife. Obviously we've got the big push on the green issue at the moment. You've got sheep to deal with, lambing season, and then you've got nesting birds and wildlife. And whether you agree with it or not, I'm not going to venture an opinion on this, but I do see the tide turning when it comes to dogs, and the sort of 50-50, the carelessness of some dog owners, not all, just some, who think that their dog's the best behaved dog and is going to obey every single command until it goes wrong and an animal gets killed or worried. And on the other hand, overly cautious perhaps farmers who protect a land that perhaps is only accessed by 1 or 2 people once in a blue moon. So I've no opinion. I've told you my video earlier about why I don't take Shadow, but that's more to do with Shadow himself and his temperament. But it's signs like that that make me grateful I've not brought a dog, because we would be going back to the car right now. That being aside, you can make your own decision on that. I'm getting a little bit excited. I'm going to allow myself to get a little bit excited about this route. Look at that. This valley side we're going to be going through. And this is a track up until we hit those, like I say, they're like little black dots, meaning there's a track, but whatever you get is whatever you get. But there's some old dry stone walling down there. There's this beck running off the moors down here. Looks great already. Get snapping. So this is today's snack. We've got chocolate custard granola, dried cranberries, dried raisins, I think. And there's little bits of chocolate pieces in it. And you see my little scoop? It's because I'm very sad. And I find it very hard to get a handful of that into my mouth without spilling it. But this is a little scoop of pre-workout for the gym. It's just the right mouthful. Because I'm very sad. Interesting choice of paving stone. It's a bit of a hike. Well, the sun has come out, so I was wrong about that, but brilliant, and there's a cool breeze as we get higher up. Perfect conditions, but I don't want it to be a death march, so I'm going to have a quick brew, something to eat, not my lunch, but I'm going to have something to eat, build a bit of energy up, and then change the camera battery, tackle the direction. So that track has come to an end now, so we've got this dry to the moorland. We're going to slog across it. It's a bit uneven, but not our usual level of unevenness, and head for the High Stevens Head in a straight line. So it's going to be a slog, but it's good. At least once we're there, we'll have a look, see if we can get to Mallowdale, hit the pike, turn around, come back. Whew. Yeah. Chocolate covered Velveeta today. You have to dunk a biscuit. So, kind of weird. I've noticed over the years that the school education goes downhill, and as we move to a very atheistic, godless society, Easter weekend pretty much means just bunny rabbits and chocolate eggs. Back in the day, when I were a wee lad, people used to understand what it means. But not anymore. I talk to people and they have no idea. Case in point, in a film, I think it was Good Omens, Neil Gaiman, my brother said it showed the two main characters there at the crucifixion of Jesus, and they said, oh, and I'm paraphrasing because I've not seen the programme, something along the lines of, that's what they do, they kill good men. He died because he was a good man. You kind of miss the point of that, if that's what you think. You've got to remember the cross isn't a disaster. It's an achievement. As crazy as that sounds, this was all planned. When Jesus came along, he fulfilled something like 300 prophecies from hundreds of years before he was even born. From the place he would be born, how he would be born, what he would do, what would happen to him, and all of his miracles. You gotta remember, this is the God-man. This is God come in human form. He's in complete control. And the devil's plan was to stop him getting to the cross. Hence why, when he was tempted, he said to Jesus, "Oh, I'll give you everything. I'll give you the kingdom now. I'll give you the world now, as long as you bow down and worship Satan." And he said no. Because the temptation there was to bypass the crucifixion. If there was no crucifixion, then there's no forgiveness of sins, because that was what God was doing. He was offering himself as a sacrifice on our behalf so that we could go free. It's like the judge at your trial. You're guilty, you're facing the death penalty, and the judge gets out of his seat, comes down and takes your place. That's basically what the crucifixion is. Now if you look where the one wind turbine is not moving, and you just go a little bit down, you can see my car. And that's the road we came up. It's just perched there on its own. And it's also a final testament to the world of who Jesus is, who his credentials are, because only God can, one, predict his birth, make it happen, predict his death, make that happen, and then choose to be resurrected. He can just take his life up again. That means he's God. He's not just a good man. So the question you're bound to ask is, well, why would I need forgiveness? I'm not a bad person. I'm not Adolf Hitler. Well, if the bar's that low, we should all be fine. But the problem is, God himself set the bar. And it's quite simple just to ask yourself a handful of questions, starting with, have you ever told a lie? If the answer is yes, that would make you a liar. Have you ever taken something without permission? That makes you a thief. Have you ever looked at someone lustfully who you weren't married to, or perhaps was on your mobile phone, or is a celebrity? That's called adultery of the heart. Now, maybe you said, yes, I'm guilty of all those. That's enough. One is enough to condemn you, because unless you keep the law perfectly, you're guilty, aren't you? If you break the speed limit, you're guilty of breaking the speed limit. It's that simple. Having done a lot of charity work doesn't eliminate you breaking the speed limit. You're still guilty of breaking the speed limit. Same with God. Break one law, you've basically broken the whole law. But Jesus comes along and someone says to him, look, what are the greatest commandments that God's ever given? Now, as Jesus wrote the commandments, he's got the authority to explain this. And he sums 10 commandments down to 2. And he basically says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul and all your strength, and love your neighbour as yourself. Because that then fulfills the whole law. If you're loving towards your neighbour, you're not going to rob from him, you're not going to lie to him, you're not going to try and steal his wife or his car. And if you love God, you're not going to make idols, you're going to love him with all your heart, mind, soul and strength. And that's it. That would get you into heaven if you did that 100% perfectly. I haven't done that, and neither have you. So we need forgiveness. So we're at the sheepfold of Haylet Crag, hence the stones, and heading up onto Haylet Fell. I'm out of breath. So we're going to go through the gate, or through that break in the dry stone wall, and then carry on up in a straight line towards High Stevens Head. So we've still got plenty of climbing to do, but the gradient isn't that steep. Yeah, I'm out of breath, but it's not like climbing a mountain. But you can see behind me, we've got Heysham again, way over there. Now the sun's coming up and the clouds are shifting on. We're getting some sweet weather and some sweet views. Yeah, it's what we like, it's what we're out here for.